Okay, hello everybody. Welcome. I wanted to do a live stream on a topic that I have been thinking about and working on with my one-on-one clients a lot, and I wanted to share some of these insights that I've gotten over, I don't know, the past like 5 years or so, I'd say, but I've really been honing these in as part of a new course that I'm developing. So I just want to get on here and share, there's a difference between people who are trying to figure out their momentum, trying to figure out their alignment, trying to figure out their flow, trying to figure out what it is that you know, makes them feel at peace in their family. Then they kind of figure that out. And then they're trying to figure it out for their job. And then they're trying to figure it out, so they kind of go back and forth. Um, they're doing a bunch of different things to try to get the results in a bunch of different areas, right? And that's a good place to start. That if you're in that category, don't feel like you're behind or anything. It's just that this video is specifically for people who've already found that, right? They just want to ensure that they keep their momentum now as they grow. They want to continue to use everything that they have to build and to make sure that it lasts. So this is the this is who I'm speaking to today, the people who have already kind of found that. And let me just see here. Yes, I can see your comments. I can see the comments live. So if you want to comment on the video and ask questions, you can. I wasn't sure how to do this in some of my other videos, but now I figured that out. So you can go ahead and ask questions if you have them. But I'm going to give you 5 things that some of my highest performing clients do, and that I've noticed for my own self to be true as well. So, first of all, they protect their energy boundaries very ruthlessly. And this is not something that they even do consciously. This is something that's just kind of part of them, but they're very firm with their yeses and they're very firm with their nos. Once they have set their mind to something, it's like they get laser focus on that thing. So they just guard their time, their attention, their energy. Distractions and all of that just go out the window. They don't even have to think about, okay, I need to not be distracted. They're just very dialed in. They say no even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable or whatever. They've just gotten used to hitting that uncomfort, that space of growth and recognizing it as growth. They don't recognize it as rejection. They don't label it as, I wonder what these people are going to think of me. They don't have that. They are okay with saying, no, this is what I'm doing now, and sticking to their boundaries. So they are very ruthless about their intentions and their goals. But again, this isn't something that they have to even think about. They just understand that when they're embarking on something new, especially, they have, hello, welcome. They have decided that it is, thank you for tuning in, that this is where their energy and effort needs to go now. And it's not even a question of how they're going to steward that thing. So, number 2, they trust their intuition to pivot swiftly without doubting. And what I mean by this is that they stay locked in on a goal, but they're okay with addressing the methods to get there. They're okay with receiving feedback that says, hey, this path that we thought we could go down, it's blocked for whatever reason, or it's going to take so much extra time or whatever. it When that shift occurs, they're okay with recognizing the new path as an opportunity. They continue to use their momentum down the new path. They don't think, oh no, this is going to delay or derail the entire project. They understand that their momentum is already available for them to move down the new path that's cleared out and for them to move quickly. So they don't get stuck in second guessing or over analyzing. They don't suffer from analysis by paralysis. They are really quick to move when they have the feedback. And one of the other things that I kind of want to just throw in underneath this one is that they have already very, very much established the voices in their life. So when somebody comes to them that's already in this circle, in this group, and says, hey, this isn't going to work. Okay, I'm going to answer that question after I'm done with giving you these five things. Okay, so stay tuned until the end. So they have utmost faith in the people that they have put into the positions of influence around them. They trust their voices, they trust their perspective, they trust their those people's intuition. They trust the work and the analysis that those people have done. And so when those people come and tell them information, they don't think, "Oh, these people are trying to work against me. These people are, trying to derail me." Not everybody is an enemy, not everything is a threat. They're very open to receiving the things that the people around them are saying and implementing changes based on that. Okay, so I just kind of want to throw that into number two. Number three, they prioritize consistent, high quality micro actions over sporadic big moves. This is something that I can very clearly use to divide mediocre entrepreneurs from very successful, high performing entrepreneurs is that mediocre entrepreneurs will get a burst of energy. They'll have, inspiration hit them. They will decide that they're motivated on this one day and they'll do, maybe a week or a month's even worth of work in one day. And while that's awesome and that's great, they don't, mediocre entrepreneurs, uh, and just in general, people, even if you're not an entrepreneur, if you do that, that's somebody who's going to stay kind of in the survival, maybe a little bit into thriving, but not fully into thriving mode. And the reason for that is because you wait for something external to motivate you to act instead of allowing the intrinsic motivation, your intrinsic vision to come up and for you to act on that. You wait until there's external motivation. You wait until you're in, and that could be things that are not positive, by the way. That could be like, I'm in dire straits. I definitely need money. So you're working from a place of need, which you're running essentially on adrenaline. You're just running on the chemical makeup of your blood at that point to get you to the place that you want to go. This is not true inspiration, which continuously is flowing. So, um, high performers will use consistent, high quality micro actions. And by that, I mean they are just consistent in showing up every day. They give 100% into whatever it is that they're doing, even if it's a small thing. So even if it's, I'm going to send out emails or I'm going to take care of, some sort of admin type thing in my business, they show up to that like it's speaking in front of 20,000 people. They show up to doing those things like it is the most important thing for their business, like they're having a million eyeballs on them. They prioritize those small things because they understand that their 100% into that action is going to um, not only set the foundation, but continue the momentum for that foundation to continue to be built. So, no matter what their micro action is of that day, they show up and it's a high quality performance for that small task. They don't just do these big sporadic moves, they are in daily alignment in the actions that they know will compound. They show up, they create, they deliver, and it's done on a regular basis without burnout. They don't need to spend, if they have 100 gallons of energy, they don't feel like they need to spend it all in one day, right? They're okay with spending 1 gallon on one task or 5 gallons on one task every single day, as opposed to getting everything done. Um, Gosh, I don't want to get down a rabbit hole, but I do just kind of want to say one other thing. I one of the first things, if I'm working with someone who's kind of mid-level in their business, in their career, or just in life in general, one of the things that I will do is ask them about, their daily habits and so on and so forth, and kind of figure out what their flow is. And I when we are working on getting them into aligned action, this is inner work. This is inner work. So in order for you to take action that is aligned, in other words, you desire to do that action whether you feel like it or not, it's like it's almost compulsive, but not in an unhealthy way. To get to that point, you have to actually have such a deep belief in what you're doing, and that's why the inner work is required. A lot of people are doing certain actions to kind of see what they get. And then if those results are favorable, they'll put in more of their energy, right? They'll invest more of themselves into that thing, as opposed to saying, I'm 100% in. This is what separates high performers, high achievers from people who are just kind of mediocre in every area of their life. Um, Also, one other thing I want to say on this is that I also have worked with people who have a very long resume, right? They'll have a huge CV of all of their accomplishments that they have done in their lives, but nothing in the last 5 or 10 years, right? They'll not have done anything recently. And it's kind of like, I did all these things. I don't need to do anything else. And if you're in a different season where you want to be investing into your family or whatever, for example, that's amazing. But the way that you approach that investment should still be like, this is the most important thing that you're doing, right? So it should still be 100%, even if it's not, you're not getting paid monetarily for it, um, even if it's just a hobby, you should be able to show up 100%. In cases where this is not happening and it's kind of just been stagnant, typically, it's a fear of being seen. And again, this is why inner work is so important, because if you don't do this, there's always going to be a cap. You're going to hit a ceiling. And then if you're not aware of what is going on, you're going to blame it on the outside world. Oh, my clients just dried up, or the economy changed, or whatever. It's some outside thing. It's never it's never you. And especially if you have a long list of accomplishments, it's very easy to say it's all these other things. It's not me. But that is the trap. That is the trap of thinking, I've gotten so many past successes that success will just come the way that it has in the past for me. So be aware of that deception. Um, okay, moving on. Number 4, their mindset is always rooted in expansion, not perfection. So they would rather have something that maybe the task itself isn't performed, like it's done 100% with their best effort, but it's not done perfectly. But that to them, showing up 100%, doing that thing, trying that thing, learning something new is so much more important to them. It's so much more prioritized than perfection. Perfection is not even in the equation. They're okay with being a beginner, with seeing what happens, with just testing it out. If you launch a course and I'm giving you an example. If you launch a course and nobody signs up, and then you say, well, that course was a failure, I guess I'm not meant to teach that thing. That's an example of perfectionism that is there, going to sabotage not only your business, it will sabotage every single thing that you try to get accomplishments in, because you have such a very rigid view of what it looks like to be successful. And you might be thinking, no, I don't. That's only in my business. It's not true with my family. It's not true with this. But if you actually take a look at what it is that you would want to have for your ideal picture in each of those categories, you're going to see that it's actually a far cry from it. And the reason is because you want it to be this very perfect, rigid, um, you know, idea, this picture perfect painting, instead of allowing it to be playful, instead of allowing it to be interactive, instead of saying, I showed up and I tried 100%, And okay, it didn't work out, but I learned something from it, right? I also want to say the thing that mediocre entrepreneurs do versus high performers, and again, this is true in any part of your life, is that mediocre entrepreneurs will go onto YouTube or follow somebody on Instagram or even go to like in-person business meetups or whatever, but they will do the bare minimum. So, for example, you'll watch this video, but and you'll try to figure out in your head or you'll make conclusions in your own mind as to what this means, but you'll never invest in yourself deeper. You'll never hire a coach. You won't go to the retreat. You won't, do anything extra. You're kind of just trying to piecemeal everything together. You would just rather have this like free conglomerate of all of these random pieces of information. You never actually go deep. High performers are paying the best coaches, the best therapists, the best people that they can find to help them enhance their giftings, to help them become the best in their field. The best attracts the best. That's just how this works. And so, one of the things that I notice a lot is that when a lot of mediocre entrepreneurs will say, I've tried everything, and they haven't, what they mean is, I've listened to a bunch of podcasts. And I went to, 3 or 4 free business meetups. And then I tried some of the things that I heard real experts talking about, but I didn't hire them. I didn't invest deeper in them. Or if I did invest, I actually didn't do the things that they told me to do, right? I picked and chose the ones that I wanted to do and I implemented those ones. It's a really big problem for why people stay stagnant. So mediocre entrepreneurs will always do this. And again, it's true of any area in your life, but the best high performers, the people who keep momentum, who continuously grow year after year, it's like they don't have any quit in them. They're actually just like riding the wave. They just understand how to use momentum to their benefit because they don't try to find these ridiculous shortcuts. They don't try to find the places where they could save a buck. They're interested in getting the return for their money. They're not interested in taking the shortest monetary route when what they're really after is trying to unleash themselves from space time, right? They want to get out of the system completely and they want to do that as fast as possible. And so they're happy to spend their resources in the people that they believe will help them achieve that goal. So again, their mindset is really rooted in expansion, not perfection. Their imperfection, mistakes, even failures, what mediocre people might say are failures, that's their natural fuel for growth. That is the thing that pushes them to learn. And they just take it as, okay, I've gotten another piece of information. Um, so that's number 4. Number 5, they continuously update their vision. It is always fresh, it is always clear, and it is always emotionally charged. They are very connected to their vision in every way, shape, and form. Momentum builders are continuously reconnecting with why they started in the first place, what their goals are right now in this season of life, and what is the end thing that they are after. What is their bigger why? They infuse their vision with that emotional connection, and that's what helps to keep their desire alive. And it magnetizes other opportunities because think about it. If you're at a conference, for example, and you just love the topic that they're talking about, you are going to attract the other, you're going to notice the people who are like, "Oh, I'm just here to kind of see what's going on," and the people who are like, I love it. This is my life. I just can't get enough of it, right? And you're going to be drawn to the people who match your energy. You're going to be drawn to the people who are just as invested as you are. And think about it with the mediocre people. They're also going to be attracting the people around them who are like, yeah, let's just see. And then those people tend to be the people who are nitpicking things. Oh, well, must be nice. Oh, well, that would work for them because they had da 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 da. They live in such and such city. They have such and such money. Their parents are such and such people, right? they're not looking for ways, how can I become this person? They're not trying to embody that information. They're kind of holding it at a distance. This is the half in, half out mentality that I was talking about earlier, where it's like, I'm going to take a bunch of information, kind of piecemeal it all together and see if that works. When you have literal experts saying, do this, and then do this. And of course, infuse it with your own inspiration, with your own flair. But these are the steps that would help you build the sound structure, right? Yes, add in your creativity, your own feminine flair into there, but the way that you build a structure is usually like the same step, no matter who you're asking, no matter what kind of conference you're going to or what kind of industry you're in, you're going to hear the same kind of steps repeated over and over. And that's because structure rarely changes, right? If I'm wanting to build a building, it doesn't really matter if I'm building a house, a commercial building, a skyscraper, whatever I'm building, it could be a pergola outside. I need the same basic things. I'm going to need a foundation. It's going to have to be flat or level, or I'm going to have to figure out how to make my building flat or level as I build, right? I'm going to need a structure that holds the walls, that holds the roof. These things don't change. And this is something that high level entrepreneurs, high level performers know already. Some things don't change. I'm going to need them. So if I am not good at those things, I need to immediately hire to those needs because I can't be wasting my time trying to figure out how do I just get around having a foundation. I don't try to do that. I just immediately accept, okay, I need a foundation. Let me either become it or let me hire it out. Okay. All right. So yes, the vision. The vision is always fresh, clear, it's emotionally charged, and it is a living, breathing force. This is not something that's like over here, right? It isn't, the vision board is not something that just sits on their wall. It is something that is living in their heart. It is a living, breathing part of who they are. It propels them onward. Okay, I'm gonna go back and look at some of the questions. How do I protect my energy without feeling guilty? Okay, that I would say that question is definitely for um people who have not yet found their flow, people who have not yet found their momentum, but I'm going to answer you quickly anyway. Um so so when you are first trying to figure out what it is that you're doing, it's going to feel kind of like every time you set a boundary, it's like a part of you is is feeling like it's getting cut off. It's feeling like you're losing part of yourself because if you set a boundary with that person or with that place or that group or whatever it may be, you're feeling like you're being selfish, right? Because you haven't learned what it's like to actually hold your power. So every no that you say is actually going to help you become closer and closer to having that that kind of I don't even have to think about it. I can just say no to things that aren't in alignment for me this season, right? So yeah, you have to just recognize the stage that you're in because if you don't, you're going to really struggle with if this is right, how come I feel guilty, or if this is right, how come I feel selfish, or um why is it so difficult? But one thing that you could do is you could practice setting small boundaries first and reminding yourself that protecting your energy is essential to sustaining your momentum. If let's say my budget is $5. If I spend all $5 over here, that means I have $0 to spend over here. So your energy is like that as well. So if you're giving time and attention to something that maybe served you in the past, and it might not have even served you in the past, it's just kind of habit, like I hang out with these people or I say yes to these people all the time, you're automatically saying no to something that is to your future, to your desires, to the things that you want to build. So you have to recognize you're spending your momentum to the past. You're not spending your momentum to the future because you're unwilling to set these boundaries. What if I get stuck and lose my momentum? How would I get back on track? One thing I would say is um, sometimes think of momentum as like up, 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 up. Momentum is like a wave. It's going like this, actually. It's like a circle going up, and it's like a wave like that. So when you see that I'm going like this, it's actually going down. There's going to be natural dips. There's going to be ebbing and flowing in momentum. It's part of momentum. So while it might look like I'm going down, the whole thing is actually going up. You see what I mean? And so when you understand that even even when you're in momentum, you found what you're supposed to be doing, you're in alignment. It's like every single thing in your life is coming alive. It's natural to have, and especially for women, um, you need to be mindful of physical changes in your body every month. You need to be aware of your cycle. I highly recommend cycle syncing. I highly recommend that you eat, you train, or, you work out according to your cycle. You do your energy like according to your cycle, because if you try to load up your schedule with stuff that you need to be doing when your your body is at a natural low point, it's like you're trying to hurry up and make your body go to this high point when there's a natural cycle to it. You were created in a certain way, and I'm very big into honoring the way that you were created. So, number one, I would say, are you living in true harmony with yourself, and are you honoring of that ebbing and flowing, and are you keeping that in mind? Um, if you are and you're already doing all of that, I would say reconnecting with your why and looking back to see how many inspired, small, in alignment actions you have been taking. So, when people have started to gain momentum, one of the things that I have noticed that some people do is they think they've outgrown certain things that actually are the things that fuel them, right? So, what I've seen people do is like, oh, I stopped journaling because, I don't have time for that. But that small, like 5 minutes that they took in the morning to journal down, their thoughts or what they were hoping for, whatever they were doing, that small 5 minutes was very key to keeping them in alignment throughout the day. So when they journaled in the day, it wasn't just a habit, it was actually setting their intention, setting their focus, setting their direction for the day in those 5 minutes. So if you've really gotten momentum and but you see now, like, oh yeah, I cut out, my meditation time, or I cut out my journaling time, or I cut out, this time that I used to spend, every day with my family, or I stopped going to some of the business meetups that I used to go to. It doesn't mean you need to pick up those exact same um, behaviors. So, in other words, you don't need to go back to that exact business meetup. You don't need to go do that exact meditation practice or do that exact journaling exercise. But those things that you were doing, maybe replace them with something that's more elevated or upgraded to the level of life that you're in now. Find a new business meetup, try a new meditation time, or meditation, like if you do guided meditations, choose a different one. You see what I mean? So picking back up on the things that got you to where you are and reinvesting into them, right? And connecting with them in a way that matches where you are in life now. That would be helpful. Okay, I need to wrap this up. I have a client in just 9 minutes, so one more question. How often should I revisit or update my vision? Okay, so I think this is different for everybody, but I will just say regularly, whatever that feels like for you. And every area of your life is going to require a different amount of updating, right? So if let's say you have set financial goals for the next year, you might not need to update your vision for that, but you'll need to like check in to see how are we doing with meeting the goals for that vision, right? If you are in a season of like deep transition in your business or in your career or whatever, you might need to look at that every single day, right? What is it that I want to get out of today? And that's something that I do every morning. I do journal every morning, and I just like to say, number one, what do I get to have today? I never ask myself, um, what am I going to do today? Because if I phrase it, what do I get to have today? I am going to do the tasks, whatever tasks I need to do, I'm going to do it from that set starting point. So if I get to be happy today, if I get to be peaceful today, if I get to go in flow and in ease today, it makes such a difference to me when I start my mornings like this. I was actually guilty of doing the thing that I just told you to not do. Um, like a month or so, I had not been journaling because I just felt like I was so busy. I just had so many things going on. And then when I stopped and said like I'm getting not I'm getting off track. The things that I'm doing are not bringing me as much joy as they used to. So I brought back the journaling, and when I did, I started off my day already saying, like, I get to have things happen easily for me. I get to have amazing clients that I work with every day. I get to have, I get to be at a place of peace. I get to be a place of joy. I get to go to bed knowing that I gave 100% into everything that I did today, whether that was with my clients or preparing food for my family or running errands or whatever it was that I was doing. I get to be 100% present in those moments. And so starting off my day like that really enhanced my vision. So I would just say, know how you work, right? And honor yourself. For me, I need to do it every day. Maybe for you, you don't want to do it every day, but once a week is enough. It would just depend on what your goals are. What is the thing that you want to keep in the very front of your mind? Um, Monthly or quarterly check-ins are also okay. It just depends on, your goals. But no matter what you do, you definitely want to have some way to check in daily with your momentum. You want to keep your momentum vibrant. You want to keep it, just full of life, full of energy. You want to keep your actions purpose-driven but effortless, in alignment and inspired. You don't want your work to feel like I just need to hurry up and get through it so I can get on to something else. This is your life. This is your life that you're putting into these activities. You don't just want to kind of go through the motions. You want to be deeply connected to it. And the whole purpose of having and revisiting your vision and making sure your vision is so vibrant is so that you are deeply connected with your why, with what it is that you're doing. Okay, so I do need to go because I do have a client, but thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for your questions, and I hope this helps you. And for those of you who are high performers, I hope this helps you also just know that you're not alone. And sometimes it can feel like everybody expects you to just keep doing more and more and more. But being being truly centered in who you are and really creating just from that place of overflow is what got you to be who you are. It's going to be the thing that sustains who you are. If all of these other people could do it, they'd be doing it. They can't. So all they do is try to put that onto you. And it's not yours to carry.